Welcome to the Left Library, where we simplify political philosophy and political economy for a bite-sized political education. Today we're diving into Vladimir Lenin's seminal work, The State and Revolution, written in 1917. This book provides an in-depth analysis of the role of the state in society and outlines the necessary steps for the transition from capitalism to communism. In this video, we'll explore several key concepts from the state and revolution, including looking at the role of the state and Lenin's display of how the state functions as an instrument of oppression by the ruling class and perpetuates class antagonisms. We'll discuss Lenin's idea that the state will become unnecessary and cease to exist or wither away as society transitions to communism. We'll extrapolate Lenin's concept of the dictatorship of the proletariat, a transitional state where the working class holds political power to dismantle the bourgeois state apparatus. Then we look at how Lenin draws inspiration from the Paris Commune, highlighting its radical democratic practices as a prototype for the dictatorship of the proletariat. Finally, we'll cover Lenin's critique of opportunist and reformist tendencies within the socialist movement, emphasizing the necessity of a revolutionary approach. Stay tuned to learn more about these critical ideas and how they apply to understanding state power and revolutionary change. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin was a Russian revolutionary, political theorist, and leader of the Bolshevik Party. He played a pivotal role in the Russian Revolution of 1917 and the establishment of the Soviet Union. Lenin's writings and political activities have profoundly influenced Marxist thought and the global communist movement. Lenin begins by examining the state's role in society. He argues that the state is a product of class antagonisms and serves as an instrument of oppression by the ruling class. Lenin writes, "The state is a product and a manifestation of the irreconcilability of class antagonisms." p. 10. He draws on Marx and Engels' theories to assert that the state exists to maintain the dominance of the bourgeoisie over the proletariat. Lenin explains that the state functions to manage and perpetuate the inequalities inherent in capitalist societies. It uses its institutions, such as the military, police, and legal system, to suppress dissent and protect the interests of the capitalist class. By maintaining order, the state ensures the continuation of exploitation and prevents the working class from challenging the status quo. He elaborates further, "The state is an organ of class rule, an organ for the oppression of one class by another." p. 12. Lenin's analysis extends to how the state creates laws and policies that benefit the ruling class. This includes laws on property rights, which protect capitalist interests and maintain economic inequality. He discusses how the state uses ideological institutions like education, religion, and media to justify and reinforce its power. These institutions propagate the dominant ideology that portrays the capitalist system as fair and natural, obscuring the reality of exploitation and class oppression. A key concept in Lenin's analysis is the idea of the withering away of the state. He argues that after a proletarian revolution, the state will initially play a crucial role in suppressing the remnants of the bourgeoisie. However, as class distinctions fade and a classless society emerges, the state will gradually become unnecessary and cease to exist. Lenin states, "The state will inevitably wither away, and it is the task of the proletarian revolution to hasten this process." p. 40. This process involves dismantling the state's coercive apparatus and establishing new forms of communal self-governance. Lenin envisions a society where the functions of the state are replaced by direct democratic administration of social and economic life. He emphasizes that this transition requires the active participation and empowerment of the working class. Lenin asserts, "The proletariat needs state power, a centralized organization of force, an organization of violence, both to crush the resistance of the exploiters and to lead the enormous mass of the population." p. 45. Lenin details how the proletarian state will differ fundamentally from the bourgeois state. It will not be an instrument of oppression, but a tool for dismantling class structures. The dictatorship of the proletariat will use state power to eliminate capitalist exploitation and redistribute resources equitably. Over time, as these measures succeed, the state's coercive functions will diminish, and society will increasingly govern itself through decentralized communal organizations. This vision includes workers' councils and other forms of direct democracy, which will replace hierarchical structures with cooperative, egalitarian governance. Lenin introduces the concept of the dictatorship of the proletariat as a transitional state between capitalism and communism. This dictatorship is not a form of authoritarian rule, but a period in which the working class holds political power and uses it to dismantle the bourgeois state apparatus. Lenin writes, "The dictatorship of the proletariat is a persistent struggle, bloody and bloodless, violent and peaceful, military and economic, educational and administrative, against the forces and traditions of the old society." p. 56. The goal of the dictatorship of the proletariat is to create the conditions for a classless, stateless society. During this period, the working class will implement policies to abolish private property, redistribute wealth, and reorganize production based on collective ownership and democratic planning. Lenin argues that this phase is necessary to eliminate the vestiges of capitalism and lay the groundwork for communism. He insists that the proletariat must exercise state power to suppress capitalist resistance and ensure the transition to a socialist economy. Lenin emphasizes the importance of revolutionary vigilance during this transitional period. The working class must be prepared to defend its gains against internal and external threats. He also discusses the need for cultural and educational efforts to transform social consciousness, promoting solidarity and a collective ethos. This involves creating new social norms and values that reflect the principles of socialism, such as cooperation, equality, and communal responsibility. Lenin sees this cultural revolution as essential for consolidating the achievements of the political and economic revolution. The Paris Commune as a model. Lenin draws inspiration from the Paris Commune of 1871, which he views as a prototype for the dictatorship of the proletariat. He praises the Commune for its radical democratic practices, such as the election of representatives who are accountable to the people and subject to recall. Lenin writes, "The Commune, therefore, appears to have replaced the smashed state machine with a democracy, of a sort that was not only wider than previously known, but also fundamentally different." p. 74. The Paris Commune demonstrated the potential for workers to govern themselves and manage society without a traditional state structure. Lenin highlights its achievements in social and economic reforms, such as the establishment of communal workshops and the abolition of the standing army in favor of a citizens' militia. He argues that the Commune's failures were due to its premature suppression by external forces, not inherent flaws in its structure. Lenin sees the lessons of the Commune as crucial for future revolutions, emphasizing the need for strong organization and preparedness to defend revolutionary gains. Lenin also underscores the importance of learning from the Commune's mistakes. He discusses how the lack of centralized authority and coordination made it difficult for the Commune to resist counter-revolutionary forces effectively. For Lenin, the experience of the Paris Commune validates the necessity of a disciplined and centralized proletarian state during the transitional period. This state must be capable of both defending the revolution and implementing socialist policies systematically. He envisions a revolutionary government that combines grassroots democracy with strong central leadership to achieve these goals. Critique of Opportunism and Reformism. Throughout state and revolution, Lenin criticizes opportunist and reformist tendencies within the socialist movement. He argues that these approaches compromise with the bourgeois state rather than seeking to overthrow it. Lenin states, "The opportunists and reformists, while recognizing the class struggle, do not extend it to the point of recognizing the necessity of the dictatorship of the proletariat." p. 92. Lenin contends that reformist strategies which aim to achieve socialism through gradual changes within the existing state framework are doomed to fail. He believes that only a revolutionary approach, which involves the complete dismantling of the bourgeois state and the establishment of proletarian power, can lead to genuine socialism. Lenin's critique is aimed at those who advocate for parliamentary participation and incremental reforms, warning that such tactics ultimately reinforce the capitalist system. Lenin further argues that reformism diverts the working class from its revolutionary potential. By focusing on short-term gains and legislative reforms, reformists perpetuate illusions about the possibility of achieving socialism without a fundamental break from capitalist structures. Lenin insists that true emancipation requires a radical and comprehensive transformation of society, which can only be achieved through revolutionary struggle. He calls for a clear and uncompromising revolutionary strategy, emphasizing the need for revolutionary theory and practice to guide the working class towards the overthrow of capitalism. Pause. 2S, Impact and Legacy. State and Revolution has had a profound impact on Marxist theory and revolutionary movements worldwide. By providing a clear framework for understanding the role of the state and the necessity of a proletarian dictatorship, Lenin's work has inspired countless activists and political leaders. The book's emphasis on revolutionary theory and practice has influenced the strategies of various socialist and communist parties. Lenin's analysis remains relevant today as contemporary movements grapple with questions of state power, social change, and revolutionary strategy. His critique of reformism and opportunism continues to resonate, challenging activists to consider the limitations of working within existing political systems. State and Revolution serves as a foundational text for those seeking to understand and engage in revolutionary politics. Conclusion. Vladimir Lenin's State and Revolution is a crucial text for anyone interested in revolutionary theory and the role of the state in societal transformation. For those new to Lenin's ideas, it offers a clear and comprehensive introduction to key concepts such as the role of the state, the dictatorship of the proletariat, and the withering away of the state. For those familiar with these ideas, it provides deeper insights into Lenin's critique of reformism and his vision for a revolutionary society. Lenin challenges us to rethink the nature of state power and the pathways to achieving socialism. His work emphasizes the importance of revolutionary theory and practice, calling for a radical transformation of society to achieve true emancipation. So what do you think about Lenin's analysis of the state and his critique of reformism? How do you see his ideas applying to contemporary social and political struggles? We'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives on these questions. Drop your comments below and let's start a conversation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Vladimir Lenin's State and Revolution. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and fellow enthusiasts of political philosophy, political economy, and political science. Don't forget to subscribe to the Left Library for more in-depth reviews and discussions on influential works in these fields. Click the notification bell so you never miss an update. We simplify political philosophy, political economy, and political science to make them accessible and engaging for everyone. Thank you again for watching, and remember, understanding the theories behind social change is the first step towards making a real difference. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep striving for a better world.